Well, howdy folks, and this is a quick tutorial on some of the match settings for QuizBowl Pro Desktop Match Manager. And I want to go back to your match settings tab first, and some things that you can do really quick. Down here you can get your teams and rosters all set up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when it comes time to playing a match. But you can see that if you've got your rosters already loaded into the software, then you can select your team, and you can select your players pretty quickly and get them attached to a buzzer as soon as you can. And then you can give a team a good starting score. You can make it the same, it defaults to 0, or you can make it different. Or you can manage your timeout lengths right here. So we've got some 5 different timeout timers that you have available for different lengths of timeouts that you may want to use throughout the course of a match. And then down here, the display for the timeout timer alerting getting close to 0, that'll display at 10 seconds. The way I've got it set right here, it'll turn red on your display screen. So let's go into some of the toss-up question options here, but before I do that, this round timer down at the bottom is very helpful. If you play with timed rounds, then you can set that to whatever time you wish. If you don't want to play with it, just set it to no. If the round time expires, you can decide to have it interrupt play and end everything once the time expires, or you can just finish the question and keep going and still score the active question. Fast mode allows you to just automatically go back and forth between toss-ups and bonuses. The only time you'd have to reactivate a toss-up is if one went dead. All right, now back to our options here for toss-up. Speaking of which, right answer points, you can set that to whatever value you want. And then an early bonus for ringing in early. And we'll talk about the early feature in just a little bit. You can also do an early correct answer penalty, which would be, yes, you got it right, but there's a penalty that's associated with that because you may have not waited until the moderator recognized you. Wrong answer points are taken away for incorrect answers, and you could penalize every team, all ring-ins, or you could just penalize the first team. And there are some formats I know of, like Science Bowl, where if you interrupt the moderator and it's incorrect, then that wrong answer gives the points to the other team, and they yet still get a chance to answer. So that's kind of an interesting twist in that format. The timer settings look pretty complicated, but here's the good news. Hovering over these boxes allows you to get a quick idea of what each of these settings does. And some of them are either yes, no with playing an expiration sound. So the timed ring in is how long players have to ring in. An answer timer is how long they have to answer once they've rung in. Computation time allows for extra time on computational math questions. And you can toggle that inside the match manager, which is really a good thing to have available. You can have a non-timed reading mode, which means that you can be reading the question, and only the round timer will run as opposed to the answer timer. Pause the ring-in timer if you wish, and reset the ring-in timer after incorrect answers, or you can add time after an early incorrect answer. You can preserve the minimum ring-in time. You can play a ring-in timer expiration sound, and you can display a ring-in timer alert. And then you could also play the ring-in timer alert sound. There's a lot of things here that you can just kind of fiddle with a little bit, but for most of our preset formats, those are already done, and you don't really have to mess with them too much. Okay, ring-in identification options, and this is kind of a fun one. You could identify only the first player that rang in, or you could get all of them that ring in, and it puts them in sequential order. So if the first team that rings in gets the question wrong, it automatically advances you to the next team that rang in, which is kind of nice. And you can do this once per team or one team per question. One team per question would mean whoever rings in first, it's right or wrong, and that is it for that particular question. And then the auto-detecting the early ring-in allows you to apply those bonuses and penalties if need be. You can either have that automatically detected, or you can allow you to do a checkbox. So, in the case of that blurting, where you give the answer before you're recognized. You could click that box, and that will assess the penalty right then and there, which is helpful. You don't have to think about it or do an adjustment later. And then this end question advances the question number. So QuizBowl Pro Desktop Match Manager does a great job of keeping an Excel spreadsheet underneath, and it keeps it running during your matches. So if you want to end a question and just move along, then what you can do is you can just automatically go to the next question number on the score sheet. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes by. So this is a quick little intro into the different features for toss-up questions. In the next video, we'll get into bonuses and team questions and how those are set up. So enjoy, and we'll see you soon.